And now, please welcome Roger Duffy.
Thank you very much. I'd like to talk to you today about some of our work on the west side of Manhattan, some of the work we did for MAS, thinking about the west side of Manhattan, and then as a New Yorker, some of our aspirations, some of my aspirations for New York. So, many of you have seen some very clever presentations and slides about numbers and data and things like that, but Grand Central is sort of the heart of Midtown Manhattan as it currently stands. But interestingly, Penn Station is a much bigger heart, much bigger transportation heart. 90 million passengers per year move through the station as compared to Grand Central, which has 60 million passengers. Just to put this in context, about 60 million people per year move through the 4 airports combined as a combined total. So a great opportunity for Penn Station, for the neighborhoods around Penn Station, to amplify the opportunities there. So Jill talked to you about Hudson Yards a bit, a massive upzoning in the city. And Penn Station is the transportation hub to unlock the potential of the massive upzoning of the west side. So today I'd like to talk to you about increasing the connection. So we have the 7-line extension, great. We have a network of public spaces that is planned for Hudson Yards development, and that's great as well. The Brookfield development, which I'll show you that our firm is doing, also has enhanced public space connections. But what are we doing about Penn Station, and how can that facilitate a better movement of these 90 million passengers per year and the growth that's anticipated, but also all of the other necessary connections? And then what? And then what in the future? So McKimbey & White's masterpiece from 1912, the Farley Building, sits on top of this amazing infrastructure, the rail lines of the Northeast Corridor. A largely underused asset in the city, and it's been largely underused for many years. Our firm has been engaged, as many others have over the years, in thinking about this underused asset. So in 1997, we did this fantastic civic scheme for Senator Moynihan for reimagining the station. So this was a time, it didn't involve the private sector. This was a civic gesture, a civic solution to our transportation problems, and a great one it was. Unfortunately, it didn't get funded by the politicians in Washington after Moynihan's death. Later, we amended that plan and proposed a more modest solution for the Farley Station. This also didn't happen. Recently, we're involved in some incremental work over at the station, and we have in construction now a new corridor. So this corridor is actually suspended above the track levels and connects 33rd Street and all the interior connections of Penn Station to the track levels, to the track platforms, and will make better connections to the west. So all of the Brookfield development and the Hudson Yards development will be better interconnected to the Penn Station and relieve some of the congestion in the existing station. So our Brookfield project here is on the avenue just west of Farley Station. It's between 33rd and 31st Street. It's an exciting new kind of mixed-use development for that part of Manhattan. The platform is being constructed. Some of the buildings are being constructed. So like Hudson Yards, a new part of the city is emerging. The basis for this design is built around an important east-west public space. It's an east-west connection aligned with the interior Farley corridor. So anticipating the future station and the future circulation of that station, the Brookfield investment will be an extension of that important public circulation from the east side of Manhattan through this project, the west side, and all the investments that are happening over there. This public space will be generous, will be well landscaped, beautifully landscaped by field operations, and will also have concessions and events that are planned for it. So truly a public space. Brookfield is doing something incredibly noteworthy, I think, in the context of public space, where they're going to actively program this space for arts venues and event venues, so things that will enhance the use and the attraction of this kind of space. The structure that we've created for these towers for the Manhattan West project, we think support the idea of the public realm and amplify its use. So we've actually cantilevered all of these structural columns for the tower and transferred them to the core. And the core element is the only element, structural element, that actually weaves its way through the Northeast Corridor train lines below. So in this way, there's a high degree of transparency and, in a sense, a kind of amplification of the public realm of the project. So an important first step, an important gateway from the Penn Station development to the west, to the Hudson Yards development, to the investment of the public park along the river. So a gateway project, a kind of first step in that direction. So in 2013, our firm participated in an important initiative by MAS to reimagine Penn Station and Madison Square Garden. Our vision for this project, a few brief slides here, was to think about a wonderful station that was interconnected with everything. It was connected to the planes, imagine such a thing, to the train systems, to the subway systems, to the people, and to all the activities of New York. We imagined that you would arrive into a highly transparent station, so you knew that you were in New York. You arrived in New York City. You could see New York City to create a station that all New Yorkers could be proud of. We also imagined a balance, a better balance between private investments and private concerns and public investments and public concerns, a kind of new chemistry, a new equation for how that might happen in the future. So large public spaces, large public parks, and important connections to the private developments that support these kinds of things. We also imagined great cities in the future with further densification will have complex sectional layering. What do I mean by this? Well, public space won't just exist at the ground level. I think the High Line has debunked that theory. So we have layers of public transportation, we have layers of public parks, we have layers of private development, whether they be commercial, cultural, or residential. And imagine large public parks up in the sky, so something like Bryant Park, 30 stories up in the air. Could be a wonderful new city that we have in the future. So in the end, lots of new upzoning around Grand Central Station, the East Midtown upzoning, lots of new upzoning around the west side of Manhattan, two great transportation centers, both of which could be improved in the future in different ways, and what about the space in between? So an encouragement here for all of us and the public officials to think about the interconnection, so we don't have two destinations, two centers in Midtown, but we have one great center to the city, a great transportation center, and from this transportation center, interconnecting to everything, all opportunities, all forms of infrastructure, whether they be trains, planes, or the moving of people in various ways to connect New York to the world and make New York, reinforce New York's position as the greatest city in the world. So thank you very much.